think you're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to start over. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys stopping in with us. We don't have anybody in the chat, but we're going to go ahead and get started anyway. We have the infamous Stan Banks, someone I have been following, I want to say at least 3.5, almost 4 years. The first time I remember seeing one of his episodes on YouTube, he was in Fort Worth. I think it was Impression Show.
Yep.
And he interviewed Cosmos Inc. when sublimation was hitting the scene, I mean, hard. And from that day on, I have been following this young man for a while. And when I tell you, he stands on business. Everything I believe that he puts his mind to and sets to, he accomplishes, and he accomplishes with authority. And for that, that is why he has had a following and people believing and standing behind him. So I met him recently at the show in Long Beach. And when I tell you, from the day I met him, he is just like he is on the actual YouTube channel. He is the Stan Banks. So guys, I want to introduce to some and just show to many who already know the Stan Banks. Thank you so much for joining us, Stan.
I appreciate you for having me.
Great. We have been trying to get this together for a minute, and we finally got it. You're just coming back in off of another Impression show, right?
Yep. Just came out of Atlantic City this past weekend. Okay. Good small show, but I think I'm showed out right now.
I know that was really quick, right back to back. That January, then that March. I mean, some people have been doing shows like crazy because I think they just had GPX here. I think it was a week or two ago. Yeah. And it was another one, I think, somewhere else. I was like, I had to recoup from the one in January. So.
Yep. That's how it is. I mean, and I get so used to seeing even like the staff from other companies on the road and different things like that. I've been going to every show since 2020. As far as Impression shows, and then I got some little small also like networking events and different things that I would go to throughout the process, all in the good fun of learning and meeting other industry leaders and people around the industry. And I kind of am the person who started having people actually go to shows and film and kind of spreading the industry a little bit so people know what's kind of going on. And I feel like it's my time here is up almost in a sense. Unless something drastic changes, I think my time is up. I've kind of accomplished what I came to accomplish in that scene.
But there's still more for you to do. I mean, there's a lot more here in the industry. I mean, maybe what you went in to do at that point may be finished, and maybe there's another opening for you to be in another arena of this same, world. So we're not giving up on you, Stan. We're not ready for you to leave just yet.
You're definitely right. It's just a change of I guess missions and goals, and then just how are you going to accomplish those goals? I think, and that's what I'm referring to in a sense, because early on my purpose was to bring more people into the industry, and I have done that. And even the people who you now see creating content started out watching me. You know what I mean? And this is you can date these things back, and now the content creation game has risen to a point where not only did I inspire people to start t-shirt businesses, I inspired them to even create content and to build followings and create communities and all of that kind of stuff. So now as a leader, I gotta go lead somewhere else in my opinion.
I agree. I don't, I always feel that everyone has room to grow. And, once you have completed what you stated, you've completed this section in this arena. It's a season. That season has ended. Now it's time to do something else. I feel you on that. But I just want to kind of go back a little bit. I just want to kind of take it back. What inspired you to even start your t-shirt side hustle?
My business or the YouTube channel?
Both. Okay. Let's just go ahead and encompass both.
So the business, I'm just a hustler, man. Like if you look back to me, like I had my first job. I got that security job, not because I wanted a job per se, but because I thought I needed insurance, and I hadn't quite figured that out as an entrepreneur. But
Okay.
man, going back to a kid from shoveling snow when Nextel ringtones was out, like I was always selling something. So
Nextel. Oh, you telling your
indeed,
age.
I took it back right there. So um, even since then, so I taught myself graphic design and I wanted to build websites. Then I got into photography, and the photography business what actually led me into t-shirts.
Okay.
And then, growing up in the inner city, and post college and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm still doing my thing as far as entrepreneurship goes. And I look around, and all of my people that I graduated high school with are taking jobs that they were qualified to do. Graduated college with are taking jobs that they were qualified to do out of high school. People around me in my environment complaining about money. And I'm looking around and I'm like, well, listen, you need money. I don't know, but t-shirts, out of all the hustles that I've done in my life, t-shirts always sold themselves. All you had to do is let people know. And the next thing you know, and I didn't even know how to print when I started selling t-shirts. So I was just telling people I make t-shirts, and the next thing you know, I had sales and things were moving. So I went ahead and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to show people how I make money, since it's made money for myself. And you could do it too. There's no reason you couldn't do it. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between me and any other content creator is I approach it from a stance that I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm teaching you how I actually was making money, and you did what worked for you, and you go in the direction that you want to go in. But ultimately, it was all about the grind and the hustle. That, hey, listen, this allowed me to pay the bills, so I know how it feels not to be able to afford the Pampers when your kid's mom is calling, whether it's guy, girl, doesn't even matter. I know how that feels if you need an extra $300,000, $500,000 to start to do whatever, just to make life hit you a little bit less. I totally understood that grind and that need. So I felt like this was something that anybody could do and get into, because I didn't have any training. I just was figuring it out. So I just showed people how I figured it out.
Okay. So what were some of your biggest challenges, in the early days of that? How did you overcome getting those financial goals to even get your foot in the door?
I can't say there was like challenges in a sense of like, man, I was just hustling. I wouldn't even know, right? Like I was selling. So to give you an idea, right? I sold my first website to my mom's friend. Okay. I built the website. I didn't know how to build a shopping cart. This was before you could use any of these platforms. So I had a buddy build out the shopping cart, and then he disappeared. It was a coworker from a little high school like work study job that we had, and I had to build it. He disappeared, and I had to figure it out. So all along my journey in entrepreneurship, I was just selling and then figuring it out, or I would just go down the path. In my college dorm room had 3-4 computer monitors up, and I'm learning and teaching myself how to build websites or how to do Joomla, which is equivalent to like a WordPress and different things like that. So when it came to shirts, I didn't know how to print shirts. I was just selling them, but I knew where to get them from because the lady had printed my photography business shirts. So I didn't know really anything. I was just, oh, you need shirts? The lady charged me $8, I charged $9. And I would make about $100 a job because I would charge for artwork. She didn't charge me a screen fee, so I would charge a screen fee. That was about $50 all in there, or maybe like $50 for the artwork, $25 for the screen. I'm at $75. You order 24 shirts, I make $1 a shirt, and then I just started to learn more and more from there. And if you coming into this industry, every job that I would get, I would make $100. So I get 5 jobs a week, I would make $500. It was like, this is easy. And all I had to do at the time because was pick up the shirts from her and deliver them to a customer. So that was it. $100 to drive around the corner, less than 5 minutes from me, pick up the shirts and deliver them to a customer.
So it looks like you figured out your marketing strategy, you figured out how to sell them, and you figured out how to leverage digital platforms to reach your audience and bring them to you.
Yeah, I think in that sense, you're 1000% correct. But what I think is overcomplicated today is most of this stuff gets done on like my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram. It wasn't like a business page. Later on down the line, it became something more. But I tell people, you getting started, man, you just want to learn through your family and friends. Just post it on your Instagram, post it on your personal Facebook page, because those are people that you know. And if you mess up a little bit, you know what I mean, you can make it right or whatever the case is, but you don't got to overcomplicate it. No, that should be a first wave of customers coming into the industry. Well, that's any business for real.
So once you did that and you were able to see the turning point of your business, being able to make some money and it being more profitable, how did you know that, hey, this is full blown, I need to go all in?
Because I was always I was always making my own money. So every once in a while, when you like go from business to business, you got to sit down and you got to look at the numbers. Like I tell people, you got to think about what you enjoy doing, right? Because I don't want to do something that I don't enjoy doing. And then two, eventually, so I was making money doing websites and photography and stuff like that. And then I had this new thing come along, and slowly but surely I started making the same amount of money. And then it's like, well, I've already put 2 years into this. I've been doing this for 6 months, a year. If I would have just let go of this, and how much more could I extract out of this over here? And it's the same thing with even the journey of YouTube. Once I started teaching and going into a different realm, and it's all stuff that you don't necessarily know, but we always got to have that sense of security in what we do. So I would just sit down every once in a while and be like, yo, I'm making this amount off of photography. I'm making this amount off of websites. I'm making this amount. And then I also put in there what I enjoy doing as well. How much do I enjoy doing this? Or do I even want to do this anymore? Just let that thing go, or whatever the case is. And that's kind of like how I always gauge what I should be spending my time doing.
So, okay. So you figured out this is making more money. This is actually giving me, the compensation of what I was doing over here for years and less the time. How do you know that you're going to be able to produce the quantity and quality of that work?
I think, well, one, you got to have a good mentor. Have a mentor and be a mentor at all times is something that I really like. I've always lived by, right? I'm always helping somebody. And then I'm always looking for somebody, whether they know it or not. I'm looking for some guidance in this journey. So I think throughout that process, I didn't have to worry about quality because I was pretty much brokering the job. So the lady was good. I accepted her work. And then I was just taking her work and delivering to somebody else. So the quality that I came in on was already there. But along that process, I ended up finding my mentor, which was he's actually my substitute teacher in high school, looking for another printer, looking to get better pricing. And I walked in the shop one day, and it's one of the substitute teachers from my high school. And I'm just there to drop off a bunch of shirts, get some shirts printed, and also talk, hey, man, can I get a better number if I bring the quantity and all of that kind of stuff? And then the doors to the industry was pretty much open to me from there, right? His view on how things were done. So then I started printing myself, and that was kind of where me actually officially doing the work actually came from.
Okay. Looking back at that experience, what is the one thing you wish you knew at that point of learning the business from your mentor?
So I talked to him about this now. It's like, man, we gonna be hustling. We ain't gonna be able to retire. We gonna be hustling off of this to the day. Like there was no, and there still isn't any organization in this entire process, right? So I do a talk at Impressions called "Things I Wish I Knew," and it's really about systems and processes, right? And I try to keep it very, very entry level because we run ourselves ragged, hustling and saying yes to everything and trying to learn and being eager to take jobs and all of that kind of stuff. So if I had to double back and change anything, I would have I can't even say I would have done anything different, right? But these are the things that I know now that I wish I would have been able to do and implement. I was printing for him and I was printing for myself, and we had two totally unorganized businesses because we just chasing a dollar. Right. And this is going order, boom, print, get it delivered. We got an event this weekend. We need to print shirts for the event. And it's just, we got our hands in so many different ways. And I love that about him because we match perfectly. he had been through so many printers before I came around. And even now, I don't really print as much with him. I still do a little bit here and there, but we matched so well because of the drive and the hustle and the hunger of what we were doing. But I would like to clean it up a little bit. And I'm working on, as I rebuild, not to get into that unorganized state. Sometimes you can't escape it, but I'm working hard not to get I'm working hard to make sure I use systems and processes pretty much now.
Okay. So let me ask this question. Okay, so you started printing, you got your mentor, you got your printer, you're printing at the same time. How did it flip from you doing all that to flipping over to being a content creator?
So I think it was a gradual process. Like I didn't even, like, at this time, it's maybe me, Brando, and Reyes probably started right about the same time. There's a few other people that were doing it, but I felt like my approach to it was a lot different. And it wasn't even about creating content. I just cut the camera on, and most of the stuff back then was just unedited. I'm in the shop and the video's rolling. I'm like, this is what I'm working on. I got my cell phone propped up on a stack of shirts or boxes or something like that. It wasn't a content creator's approach. It was, I'm gonna help you do this. If this is what you want to do, you can watch me. And one of the things that I love that I did is I did not do it as my business. T-shirt Sidehustle was outside of SB Design at the time. So it wasn't, there was no overlap. And when I talk about like one of the things that made me different is like, I always felt this is attainable. You know how I know it's attainable? Because I'm just doing I'm not doing anything special. I don't have a huge following like you guys see on T-shirt Sidehustle inside of the business, but I was known locally for printing shirts, for doing graphic design, for doing websites and all of that stuff. So I think the real change came in 2020 after I visited the Long Beach show. I visited Long Beach show, and then I connected with Supercolor at that time, and that kind of started what was the consultant business. And I was making money through affiliate income and all of that stuff, but it wasn't like it wasn't a huge focus. It was just like extra income because I was still boots on the ground in my own business.
Bringing up that, how did you balance being an affiliate and working with other companies or enterprises? How did you balance that in your own business?
So I don't think it was hard because, I wasn't trying to change. I wasn't trying to be a content creator. I wasn't trying, I was just talking about the stuff that I used every day. So early on, I talked about Total Ink Solutions. I was using Total Ink Solutions. So it wasn't any type of deal where it's like I'm bouncing around. In fact, like early on, Jared from Heat Personation hit me up. He's like, hey, we want you to talk about our product. I'm like, bro, how you going to tell me to talk about your product? But I never even used your product. What are we talking about here, right? And eventually, thank you. He did not hold it against me. But it was just so it was real easy because all I did was talk about the things that I was doing every day inside of my business. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't fake. It wasn't this culture of learn today and teach tomorrow, grab it and unbox it. And I feel like I started that trend as well, but it wasn't in a sense of, it was anything to balance. I would just cut my camera on and doing what I was doing every day.
Okay. So with those entities or companies that you were working with, and they, I'm sure, presented you with opportunities and some challenges in which you had to deal with. Can you share any learning experiences or from those interactions that shaped your business acumen right now?
If you talking about like recently, or you talking about back a long time ago, right? Because it's two different.
Let's do it back and now.
All right. So
previously and then, currently.
In the past, me getting an opportunity to work with some of the people that I got to work with, I never approach it from a, hey, give me some money. Let me talk about your product. I always approach it trying to get lessons in business and in life, right? Because that's always what I felt like was missing, right? That information, that access to information and resources and different things like that. it
Like
was
gate.
never one of those things for myself where it was like, hey, let me just, how much you going to pay me to talk about this, right? And I think that's where this game is going now. Like we all chasing views and a dollar from a different standpoint, and it's a good business to be in. To be honest with you, right? If you can get paid to turn on your camera and talk, but I think it also leads people down the wrong path. So if I was to say anything, I got to see business at a very, very high level, right? That most of us will never get to see, right? Understanding why large companies operate and move and do things in different ways. And I think even going from a small company with less than 10 employees to a company over 100 employees, the entire thought process behind that and the decisions and how things change. We always get like frustrated when things don't move as fast as we want them to, or these companies don't move as fast as we want them to. I had to I got a front row view and was a part of like, man, I'm like, yo, you can just click and be done, right? And my well-rounded background that goes along with everything that I talk about, but understanding that now it's 5 employees or 4 people got to touch this, and things just take longer and people clock out, right? As entrepreneurs in our own business, we don't clock out, but a marketing team clocks out after 5 o'clock, right?
Yes,
So these are just things that like I got to experience. And if I bring it to now, the one thing that I regret is stopping my own stuff and putting somebody else's business in that position, right? Giving my all to somebody else's business and letting go of what I had going on, which ultimately I feel like came to bite me later on down the line. But I didn't look at it like that. I'm the type of person that I'll go harder. Like I got to control myself, even with my friends and stuff. I'll go harder for your business, and I look at you crazy like you ain't working hard enough. Like you don't understand what's going on. And I really very much so got that drive, but I also have to understand that not everybody has that or moves in that manner. But and I don't do it from a bad way, but it can be overbearing and overpowering at times, which is something that I learned. I grew to understand.
Yeah, that's so true. I can agree with you on that. Everybody doesn't have that same hustle. We I guess I look at us, because you talk about Nextel. We're old school, so we know how to get up and make it happen. We'll make we'll put the time in and make it work and do what it needs to do to get where we want it to be. Everybody has a problem putting in the time. They want that instant gratification of actually having it right now instead of putting in the time, seeing the instant, progression. And as the old people say, it's a process. Everything is a process, and it'll come in time, but it just may not be right now at this time. So that's a good point. Okay, so my title for you today was "Colored Outside the Lines." This was the title I thought about with Stan Banks, because you don't normally fit the coloring in the lines. You push the bar a little bit every time. You know what I'm saying? So I said, hey, I'm gonna give Stan this title of "Coloring Outside the Lines." If you were to take that and take that whole landscape of that in the t-shirt industry, especially with your dealings with the past company that you've been talking about here recently, how did you balance maintaining your unique brand identity and losing it and coping with that?
I think I didn't have to balance it, right? Because I come in very like who I am. This is what, if you want to work with me, you do. If you don't, you don't. And I've come across some things that could have went in a lot of different directions, right? But you also you understand that you're working with companies, and not everybody in the company reflects some of these certain things, right? So I'm trying to think about how to answer that. And I think, what I've learned is there's always some safer points, and then things change, right? At the end of the day, some people you think don't have bosses, they have bosses. And when I talk about going from a small company to a very large company, it's a lot of things. There was some very, very telltale signs of where things were headed, that I seen, I took offense to, I didn't hold it against anybody, but throughout the process, what I've understood was, hey, some people do have bosses, right? And it may start one way and then it may change down the line. So I think about this one time where guy looked at me and he said, Stan, we can't move off your gut anymore. Right. And I'm like, can't move off my gut. Well, my gut what got us here. Like, and that's I'm not even trying to say that in like an arrogant way. I'm just saying that in like I haven't missed. I didn't miss. Like, put me half court, Steph Curry. I did not miss one thing that I said to do. Everything paid off for us, right? And so I took offense to that. I kind of like went back and talked to my crew about it, and I kind of measured it in different ways or whatever the case was. But that was one of the things that I look back on now, and I'm like, hey, and then another thing is there's always going to be, when you are as outspoken as I am, when you are as much of who you are, there's always a person who fits more the corporate build, a safer version. And for me, it's like, I don't try to be anything that I'm not. And I always try to help people hone in on the things that they're good at and speak life into people. And one of the things I'm really good at, in my opinion, is like identifying talent. So being able to see somebody who's doing something really very, very well and be able to get them to do it better, or give them an opportunity to do it in a different way. Right. And so those are things that I've been able to do over time. But, at the end of the day, I'm always looking, like I don't hold back information, because I'm always looking to kill my own food. Right. In the corporate sense, if I did it again and I had maybe had a job and worked in a sense of corporate, maybe I wouldn't help some of the people that I helped. Maybe I wouldn't have done some of the things or given away some of the things to protect my own job, my own paycheck, my own, in that sense. And that's what people do in retrospect. So that's kind of one of the things that I've learned over this time process. But, at the end of the day, I am who I am. So, I still have opportunities to provide. I still have opportunities to provide opportunities to people. And I can't change who I am. I would just go find new people to help. You know what I mean? Like, hey, cool. Go off and do your thing. Best of luck to you. You know what I mean? Hope everything works out for you. But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do what I got to do. And I still got some things to figure out on my side, on the business end of what I'm doing now. But at the end of the day, I can't change who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Looking back at things now, with your experience, how do you approach selecting partners that you now would want to deal with? What would be your criteria? Would they have to fit inside your color lines, or would they be outside the color lines? Or
I'm gonna be honest. I've had other opportunities and possibly some ones that could have boded well and in replacement too. But I think I just got such a bad taste in my mouth from doing it. Like, I much rather struggle a little bit, build something up, figure out what I'm going to do next, and just do it on my own accord because of the bad taste that I have in my mouth. Now, I think there are companies, I don't want to be in any situation where I can't help somebody, right? Some of the opportunities that I get that come along, people want to work with me. I'm like, yeah, I don't see, you got to make it clear. If I don't see how I can help you, you tell me how I can help you, and don't tell me to make a video, right? That's just not interesting, especially looking back at what I do and kind of how I do it now. A lot of what I've done was never about me making a piece of content. It was more so about shaping companies from the other side. And I tried to be very clear with people, like, yo, content creation, unless you're elite and you're great, is not what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that everybody isn't unique and elite in their own way, but at the same time, if your numbers don't back up what it is that you're doing, even me, my numbers don't back up kind of the direction that I'm going right now, because of, the change and different things like that. So if your numbers don't back it up, you really don't have value. So you either got to be one of those top 10 or good luck. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know people who was outright treated dead wrong, or I would have to do certain things in different ways. Like I would just take the blame, or I would give my credit away to somebody, or different things like that, to other people, to show them a little bit of love,
Right.
because inside the companies they were not ever going to get it. And those are
Yeah.
just things that, so I would say, I think there's companies that I can help. And if those companies see value in what I could provide, then I'm still willing to work with them.
Mhm.
But I think I really do got a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't think it's of good faith to walk into a situation where it's like, what you got for me? And you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know in general how to kind of sum it up, but I got a bad taste in my mouth. And so I'm on the effect of like, yo, Stan, just take a step back, figure out what you're gonna do, go back to helping people like you were doing in the original point, because my plan was never to really go and have a consultant business to help companies that did what it did. It was just something that all of my experiences allowed me to do at a high level, and I have done it before in other industries. And so I'm a hustler, so I was just taking it where it took me, and deal after deal I just tried to make every deal better than my last deal, and it just
Yeah.
kept getting better and better and better.
Yeah. So in the spirit of that, we're gonna move from, Stan the content creator and his affiliates and entities that he's helped, and we're gonna go into where Stan is right now. I was on your podcast. I've been on there several times. I think since you started here, about 5 or 6 weeks now, right?
Yep.
And
8 weeks, 8 weeks in.
8 weeks. Okay. 8 weeks. So here lately, I have been seeing that you are now taking in mentees and actually helping people. So tell us a little bit about all that. What you got going?
So I formed what it ended up becoming is the T-shirt Hustlers Club, and where I get in with, I'm gonna call them mom and pop, right? Because that's what I would view myself in as in business, is like mom and pop, local type businesses. And I spent the first 3 months, well, really starting in December of last year, taking clarity calls and seeing where people were, what they were struggling with inside their businesses. And I basically formed some kind of, took all the common traits together, and I tried to create something that'll help people get off to a good start. But before I preface that, what I have to say is there's a ton of content creators in this industry. And I think that's where people oh, I want to be a content creator. And this is a trendy place to be, because it's trendy on social media and all of that kind of stuff. The learn today, teach tomorrow type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think we are leading people down a very, very bad path.
I agree.
Right. And it was,
I agree.
and I say, listen, I take 1000% responsibility for what I feel like I started when I started the unboxing series of heat presses. At the time, I'm thinking I'm doing a very, very good thing, because I had replaced my Amazon presses with a George Knight DK20S. And I got a bunch of messages like, man, I wish I could do that, but I can't afford that heat press. And I'm like, bro, I just had an Amazon heat press that was $200. And better yet, it was my second one because the first one broke, but I didn't care because I just bought another one to keep this thing rolling. And so I started this unboxing series because what press it was didn't matter. Now, this was a great decision from a content creator standpoint, and I try to explain that, but it also was the starter with this unboxing culture inside of this industry. It already existed in other industries, but I tried to make sure that my focus was on the business side of everything, beyond that, right? So going into it, I started the T-shirt Hustlers Club, which it's off to a rough start just because some email automation stuff that I tried to set up that didn't quite work right. But kicking off next month, we'll be just doing weekly group coaching calls. I got a crazy network of professionals in this industry, of knowledge in this industry, of people that I can call, pick up the phone with when I'm struggling, or I can connect to anybody who's struggling. So that's where we'll meet weekly and just go over some different things. We're gonna start off by attacking what I call the T-shirt business roadmap. Just like the core basics of everything that you need to have in order to go out and do business. And then I'll be able to bring on people that I've met across the industry to help. You know what I mean? I got followers of mine that have $1 million businesses, right? And this is something that I never even set a goal to even figure out to try to. I was just hustling, right? So now I got people that I've met that will come on and share some information as well. So I'm no longer trying to really reach the masses. You know, I want people that are looking for help and are going to take the information and do something good with it. And you know, that's where it is. So tshirthustlesclub.com.
Okay, cool. So if you guys want to sign up and join his T-shirt Hustlers Club, please do so. He just gave you the information there. I'm sure we'll probably be able to put it in our information below later. Also, so you started the T-shirt Hustlers Club and you implemented the podcast, right?
Yes.
So how did you get to that?
So Greg is one of those people who's always been around for quite some time. And he's like, we gotta do something. And that's where he came across, right? His thing is the art department, and I'm T-shirt style. So he put it together. We came up with the art of hustle. And we wanted to extend outside of T-shirts as well. So I think the art of hustle was a good thing. And obviously we start with where we are right now. But we wanted something that would be expandable along the way, and just to have some real raw conversations. And we're gonna start bringing on guests here and all of that kind of stuff. In the past, I would kind of like take my connections and give them away to people on their podcast because I wasn't in the mindset to kind of create a podcast at that time. And so now what happens was I always say like, yo, if I'm gonna do a podcast, I'm gonna out podcast the podcasters. Like that was always like whatever I'm gonna do in my mind, right? And I think it is no slight to anybody doing anything, but it's like that's always been my approach to sports. It comes from a sports mentality, right? Like, yeah, you know, when you in a position battle, when you come in and you walk onto a college team and you at like number 9 or 13 on the depth chart, and like, nah, bro, I got to get the number 5, like 4. Let me slowly start to attack the people in front of me. And that's kind of my approach to it. So the podcast we air every Wednesday, and we just talk about the real stuff. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, I don't have no filter. So whatever it is that somebody wants to talk about, whatever topics there are, and I try to be respectful, but I also am very, very opinionated. So I think some of the important topics that I see is bringing back some high level information and bringing it back down so that we can foresee where we might be going in business.
Okay. So for someone who is wanting to possibly come on your show, how do they reach out and get on your show?
Oh, we ain't got there for it yet. But we so we put together a list. It's not even like a how, it's just more so like the mood and the vibe and what people are doing at a certain level and really the topics. So instead of going to get people to interview, like I'm looking at what topics do we want to cover and who's the best person to cover this topic. And so what I'm even before that, like what I tell people, like when we bring on guests, I'm going to get the heavy hitters. So, and I'm bringing them to the streets. Like that's my mentality. So when I go to Bella Canvas, go ahead.
Hint. That's why I got you.
when I go to like sit down at Bella Canvas and I have sheesh. That thing just rattled the whole building. When I go sit at Bella Canvas, I sit down with their team and the CEO at the time, who's I would consider like right at the front level of a sense, as far as a colleague or like a peer of mine. I'm asking real questions, right? Like, how do we deal? Like, I understand y'all problems and challenges and what y'all trying to do, but how can you help me with what I'm trying to do? Like, how can we do something in these inner cities? How can we go back and create a program where we all give me shirts to take into the school so I can do events and different things like that inside some of these schools or with the youth or different things like that. So I'm able to now forge these relationships and bring those people. So looking at like, yo, man, what can you learn from somebody who's running a multi-billion, like $1 billion company or different things like that. So I think those lessons are the ones that I really want to do. And I think we're gonna have some time to fill things out as well in
Right.
the middle of there, and like bring on some down to earth guests and different things like that. But and then we're gonna bring on some artists as well. So it's not really of like how does one get on when you do something great. Like in football, they say that, hey man, if you can play, you can play. They're gonna find you, and that's my approach to it because I caught people really, really early in the process of what I thought them doing something great was like your production value on your content, the products that you create, and your whatever it is that you do well. I'm gonna see it and I'm gonna acknowledge it. I was never one of those people that looks above and I'm like, yo, look, man, I see what you're doing over here. Let me connect you with this person. Maybe y'all can do something or something like that.
Right.
So that's always been my approach. But I'm looking forward to bringing some heavy hitters into the podcast realm for this space and bringing those people down to the streets.
Okay. So we talked about content creation. We talked about your podcast. What about you in the shop? I mean, how are you doing in the shop? How is that going?
Man, I'm struggling. And it's not from a sense of shop struggling. I'm
Mhm.
struggling with like my direction overall as an entrepreneur and where I want to what I want to be doing and where I want to go with things. And
Okay.
so um I'm looking to get back to being like full service because it wasn't ever just about t-shirts. Even on a small business scale, I helped small businesses when I was doing it. So website, graphic design, business cards and stuff like that.
Right.
And then the shirts was also a part of it. And so I'm struggling in the sense of like, I got jobs, but do I really want to do these jobs? And I got big jobs coming up, and then I put them off, and they end up close to the deadline. And I'm not at my best right now. And I think because I wasn't at my best mentally, and that's one of the struggles of keeping it real with like entrepreneurship, dealing with some type of depression from everything that happened, and just being fully transparent about that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
uh trying to figure out my overall direction. I think I'm at the tail end of it. I'm coming out of it and I'm
Mhm.
slowly getting back to myself. But I also have to figure out a way to do it differently because the guy that was running around ragged before, I don't want to be that guy now. I
Mhm.
definitely enjoy spending time with the fam, getting off and going home and different things like that. And I didn't have that before. So
Mhm.
now I'm trying to build it in a different way and still trying to figure out what the overall direction is going to be. And it's not for lack of business. It's not for. It's just like you know, I I'm just I'm just in one of those zones where it's like, come on, man, we gotta pull this thing together. And I got so
Yeah.
much to do. I sit back and I like don't do anything. And it's been a struggle of mine over the last few months, just trying to deal with the depression of everything that's happened to me. To be honest.
Well, Stan, I want you to know, brother, we got your back. You know, we stand behind you. You don't know how many people really out here are really for you. Uh, you may think you're here alone, brother, but we got you. We have you in our best interest. You know, when you went through what you were going through, we felt that. We felt that, and we stood with you, and we acted with you. So don't think you were out here by yourself. It may have felt that way, but brother, you have your following is strong. You may not think it is, but your following is strong. And
Yeah,
we
I was gonna say I definitely have gotten the messages from people, and even going out to the shows and some of the conversations that I have, man. That those are the things that always kept me going. It was a point before where I pulled all my YouTube content down, and people were looking for me and stuff like that. So I definitely know and understand, but I also still think as like men, we got a different like just as a man, it's like back
I
against the
know.
wall. We feel like we by ourselves, and I think, and I'm not the
Yes.
only person.
No, you're not. You're not.
And that's why I'm so open about talking about it because these are the struggles that we go through as men. Where I got this mentality, and I say all the time, ain't nobody gonna come save you. Ain't nobody around coming to save us. And I think you know we as men need to have these conversations in public or out in the open, or at least people now they know that I've gone through it. If they're there, they could talk to me about it, at least in this audience and different things like that. But Yeah, no, I firmly know what I have as an audience.
Mhm.
And I firmly know that there definitely are people who support me. And then and then some people that I look at a lot differently now, because of the change in different things that happen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Through some of this stuff too. So, hey, man, this is the game called life, man. If
That is it. That
you
is
know,
it. Everybody's got to go through it and get their stripe.
in
But
order,
no,
Greg said this, in order to get through it, you got to go through it. So
you got to
you
go
got to
through
keep
it.
going.
You got to go through the fire. You got to earn your stripes and earn these little gray hairs I got up in my
Yeah,
head.
they
I
coming.
mean, that come wisdom. I'm telling you, it's straight wisdom. A
I
lot
got
of
some
learned
from
left lessons.
I got some from this, and I got some from somebody else, but it's all good.
Hey, that's okay. We mean well. We mean well. But guess what? Your black sisters do stand behind you, and we spend money. Believe me, and believe us when we say when we felt your pain, our pocketbooks closed.
I appreciate that.
So you're not by yourself. Okay, I will move on, and I want to know if I was to come into this business today, and I was to sign up to go to be on Tshirt Hustle Club, and I pulled out my book and say, Stan, what what direction should I go? How should I get started in this industry? What
Well,
would you tell me?
I think the first thing is that you should focus on sales. Like all of the products and all of that kind of stuff, what you can make, it doesn't even matter, right? And I think we got so product heavy, and that's where I think like the unboxing series and all of that kind of stuff started to take things that, if I look back to how I got started selling. And that's what made it a valuable business, because you're going to sell your way through the lessons that you need to learn. You're going to sell yourself into the products that you should have, into the equipment that you should have, that you should be using. We of course we all want to put out a quality product. Like I'm not, not slighting that at all. So you do want a little bit of guidance and different things like that when it comes to that stuff. But I think you need to focus on selling. And then two, what people are missing for the most part is their proper branding, like their proper having a proper website where people can go and see your work and get a quote and contact you, reach out to you, all of that kind of stuff, or
Mhm.
even proper marketing materials. I think those things have been limited, from a sense to where we don't focus on those things, and those things need to change. And that's kind of where I start with most people. They got questions. Let me see your business card. Let me see your flyers. Where your website? And this stuff is a simple cost of
See that
doing
sign
business.
back there? Yeah, all that. You
This
gotta
stuff
have
is
all.
a simple cost of doing business, right?
Mhm.
And you letting $50 a month, you know, stop you, man. I can't afford a website. You can't afford $50 a month. So if you go out and you sell 2 T-shirts or you sell one order, you should be able to afford that in an entire month, 30 days. And so I think those are just like some very, very small, simple things. And then I think networking is huge, right? It's great. Watch all the content on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff. But another part of my what things I wish I knew is that there's so much information out here, but the network of people that you meet, the network of people that you hang out with, that you associate with, that you join into something like the T-shirt Hustle. And there's other groups, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
depending on where you are in business,
Hmm.
there's other groups that you may be $1 million business, then you need to go over here. You need to go to this event, or that's where you aspire to be. I think those things are very, very important. And you got to make the investment into yourself, right? Like if you think like
Mentorship.
I'm in a member of 3 groups right now, one for like web design and that side of business, and uh another for t-shirts, and then I travel to some other events, whatever the case is. You got to make that investment into yourself. I think we are so small-minded thinking at like that entry level. Like I don't want to spend $50 a month or $100 a month just to have access to this information because it's on YouTube, right? But
Mhm.
again, when I meet with other business owners and I get to talk about what's working and what's not working and kind of like that type of networking stuff, it's invaluable in the long run of the access to information that I have or that I gain.
You said some very, very powerful and important things. Sales, investing in yourself, your branding, and a few other things. But one thing I want to hit that you actually talked about was sales. Everybody shies away from sales. Sales is something that's so powerful that it should be the number one thing you learn. And if you don't hit sales, you lose your business because you got to consistently hit the negotiation of making that sale to get the people business. You have to get their business. And if you can't sell, if you can't have the gift of the gap, and everybody doesn't have it, but you can learn it. It can be taught. It can be learned. But they're afraid to even ask or even go through it. They shy away from it or just tuck their tail and run.
So it's not that people are afraid, it's that they're not confident with their selling. This is like something that I've been studying, and I think there's some key components, right? They're not confident in pricing, which is something that you're never going to get right. Right. It's still times where I'm second guessing what I'm charging and different things like that. And I think even at big business, like I said, negotiate sales and negotiation process. So if you understand what it costs you, and then you understand what you want to make and then the number, and like there's things, because there's large shops that are out here printing for 85 cents. And they even question, like, should I even be printing this job? Is it worth me doing, and different things like that? And this is a conversation I had this past weekend with a shop that's like, plus $3 million a year. And so that's one thing. They're not confident in pricing. And I also feel like, going back to branding, when you look right and you present well, you have a different type of confidence.
You do.
So you get a little bit of a grasp around pricing. Understand that there is a negotiation in this entire process. I know we want the price is the price, and this is what it is, and this is what it's not. Like, at certain points, you're gonna have to tailor it to, because you're working with a school versus you working with a corporation. It's just the nature of the game, right? So
play your part.
If you can learn and understand those two things, and you come out, with your pricing, a little bit of a grasp around it, if you come out with some proper branding, I think the game right then and there changes. Right. And then secondly, we're so used to just taking what comes to us, we don't actually give ourselves the opportunity to be specialists. Or like, I look at my business like, how can I become a service? How can I stand out? Because if I come out and just say I'm selling T-shirts, I'm in a price war right off the bat. I don't even lead with pricing. But what I am able to do is I'm able to add some of my marketing expertise. Hey, maybe we do need to do more. We need to add things into this so that now you coming to me, we can get your website done. We can get you business cards and banners and flyers to promote your business. I can be a service to you, and now it's a different presentation. And I think little things like that will change the game and make selling easy. I think that's a lack of confidence more than it is a lack of wanting to sell, because we all want to make money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We are here to make money. So I think those are three things that you could fix in order to kind of move through that process a little bit easier.
So let me ask, I know you said branding, but I want to make sure I'm thinking branding would marketing and branding be the same thing, or be its own thing? Because I think marketing needs to be in there as well, right?
Yeah. So branding is the image, and then marketing is like the actions. So, to have marketing materials, that's branding. But now it's like, but if you got a flyer, now what do you do with that flyer? What's on the flyer? Who do you give it to? Where do you take it? Where do you put, like, the marketing aspect of like the actions behind it, in a sense? And a lot of people are going to explain it in a lot of different ways, but I think the actual branding is the look, the feel of the company. You go outside, you feel dressed, you got your suit on, you know what I'm saying? You got your logo on, you feel good about what you're providing. But you out here with a dingy T-shirt on and you hand out your card, you kind of like, or you don't have, you kind of not really prepared to do what it is that you got to do. Sense.
You got me there.
just try to keep it it's relatable, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You walk out the side,
you got my hook out the house.
You walk out the house looking homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like you can feel that, right? But you walk out the house like you about to go somewhere, like you going out, you also feel that too. So if you give your business that confidence, I feel like it's a lot. You can get a lot more out of it.
Right. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure, I was thinking the same, but I think you're going in a good direction. You're taking a step back, looking at things, and you're reevaluating everything and getting where you need to be. So what if you do not see yourself in this business anymore? If you do not see yourself doing what you're doing now, what would you do? If you lost it all, what would you do?
Well,
I know you're a hustler now. I already know you're gonna go right there.
I don't know. I already lost it all. So let's just level the playing field, right? But at the very core of who I am, right? I think I am an entrepreneur. I am a hustler. Okay. I'm a marketer, right? And so throughout this process, I was like, man, I've done it in other industries. I did it in the publishing world when I was about 21, 23 to 23 or something like that. Ran a publishing house from a marketing sense. And I'm doing it now. I've done it in this industry. So I was fully prepared to do what I was doing. I know what I'm capable of, right? But I also don't have the formal resume that goes along with it. So I'm like, you know what? I need to find an opportunity in another industry, in a marketing role, in order to kind of like solidify who I am as a marketer. Because, make no mistake, like I've improved at least 5 businesses in the $1 million effect, right? So the only thing that I can do from here is do it myself, or I can go prove out my resume in another industry of a sense. And so what would I be doing if I wasn't doing this? What I would probably have liked to do the most would coach football. But again, my effect or my personality of
did you play football?
Whatever it is. Yeah, I played and I coach. Okay. But to coach,
what position?
I was actually a defense coordinator in high school. I played cornerback.
Okay.
I was an all-conference Division II cornerback. And then I coached high school. Yeah, of course. Every once in a while,
what were you in the 40? What were you in the 40? I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
In the high school, I ran a 4.53. Okay. And then in college, I really didn't run. I didn't really test too much. I spent a lot of time injured, and then it was just like whatever. Okay. I had like a 4.53. Coming out of high school, I was at like a 4.53. But nonetheless, what was I saying? I forgot now.
I got you all.
Yeah, you got me off guard. See, football is football and computers is what I love all my life. So
I have 4 brothers, so of course I know a lot about football. My brothers played a lot of football.
So I would love to have coached. I coached in college, but I just couldn't. Coaching college ball comes with being like an errand boy a little bit when you start out, and that just ain't in my personality, especially if I feel like I know more than you. And with all due, I just had to coach for people that I really respect. And it's not even the fact that I clean the floors at the office, right? Like I'll take the trash out. I'll get my hands dirty. I'll do the dirty work. But again, I also think my time is used in better ways at the same time. But nonetheless, I don't know.
If you lost it all,
you will find me powering some type of business. Yeah. You know what I mean? My lady is starting up a phlebotomy school in our area. And I'm like, I'm dreaming of the day that I could just do that from a behind the scenes, like get the website right, get the marketing together. Let's just do all of these little things that will take to power that type of business.
So you were in school, in college. What college did you go to?
I went to Delaware State and Cheney University.
Okay. I went to Jackson State University.
Okay.
Jackson. Yeah. So HBCU fellow.
Indeed.
Yeah. So you studied computers there?
I studied computer science. My degree's in computer science, and I have a minor in graphic design.
Okay. Political science, pre-law with minors in computers. Yeah.
Pre-law. Sheesh.
Yes. MBA, project management. 4 classes away from a doctorate in information systems.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of that stuff anymore. That's one thing I don't want to see. Nothing to do with nothing.
So
I
yeah,
made
I'm
my
a
mind
heavy
up a long
hitter.
time ago.
I don't act like it, but I am a heavy hitter. But I take all that. I'm humble about all of it because I just want to work and make sure that I bring people along with me. That's my goal. So, any questions that you would like for us to know, or you ask me? You want to ask me anything?
I ain't come prepared to do that for once, right? And it's crazy. I got a mentor that tells me you should always be prepared to ask 3 questions. And I
Ask
was
at
like,
least
that
three
that
questions.
came that came from coaching.
Yeah.
Um, because like we would go to like some of the bigger colleges and sit down with some coaches, and you wanted to
Yeah.
seem prepared. But I definitely did not prepare in this.
I'm always quick on the feet. I'm always ready. I'm a PK, so I've always had to be able to respond quick and act on immediately. It was
Got
always
to.
called upon to do stuff. So,
I think
so
more so probably my guard was down because I was being interviewed more so than the other way around. That I
but I
definitely
didn't hit you hard. I didn't hit you hard. I
you
gave
did
you a pass. I gave you
you,
a pass.
you
I
definitely
gave
you
you some
definitely
thought
did.
provoking, but nothing hard. I mean, it was all good because I think these are things that you don't always get asked those provoking questions like that. And people need to see that other side of you. Even though you color outside the lines, you have an acumen that actually got you to where you are today. And if we could just take that same blueprint from where you started 3, 4, 5 years ago and get to where you are right now, look at the path of action that you could give someone.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I mean I've always been very very sharing um and helpful to people in pursuit of anything that I got going on or in the knowledge base, right? I'm not one of the people who thinks it's only for me. And I like to spread the wealth and the knowledge because I think we're stronger in that sense together. Um, and so, if I'm accessible, so if there's any
Right.
questions that people have, definitely they can DM me on Instagram, even if it's content creation or t-shirt or like how to negotiate some of these things. I've started the programs that people are now getting the benefit or the joy of eating off of. So I know inside and out how they work, what they're looking for, what they're willing to pay, what they're not, what I'm saying? Like, and
Right.
how
Right.
those things kind of work. So I'm accessible if anybody needs any of that information.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on to the show. Um, what? He said he need to holler at you. I was like, what? We're gonna talk to him afterwards, but I appreciate you coming on the show. You gave me great honor. It was a pleasure to meet you in person and see you were the same humble. I mean, just as humble as all doors and moving fast, always in emotion. Always in motion. I never forget. You ran on the stage and, and went straight to work. I mean, just like that. Hey, let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah, I catch my breath in the process.
Same thing. I got ready to leave. We were getting ready to leave and head back. Guess what? You were on that scooter ready to roll. I was like, dang, we left him at the scene. He passed it up on the
Yeah, I
scooter.
definitely did. I love my scooters.
Like,
I'm a scooter for lifer. So I love my scooters. No matter where I'm at, I'll jump on a scooter and be out.
man, I was like, I can't even believe this. He is already caught up to us. But, I enjoyed this interview. It was great. I really appreciate everything. And we probably come back at you again sometime later on. But
Indeed.
I'm most definitely going to be hollering at you because we're going to have to work some things out.
I'm here. I'm here,
All
man.
right.
I appreciate you for having me. Again, if anybody wants to connect with me, T-shirt sauce on Instagram, on YouTube. If you're looking for guidance in your T-shirt business and getting straight to the business side of things, a network of people who are in pursuit of what it is that you're in pursuit of, check out the T-shirt Hustlers Club. T-shirtsauce.com. You can connect with me there. You can see all the things that's going on, all the different companies or whatever I'm working on, and different things like that. So yeah.
Again, thanks, Stan. I'm much love, much love.
Appreciate it.